This is just a suggestion for addressing the complaints from your neighbours about the sound of the dogs barking, hopefully in a way that satisfies them, does not disadvantage the dogs in any way, and is minimum cost. So I assume that these are the neighbours that are complaining off to the west. By the way, I hope I got the orientation right with the north at the top. So as I was saying, here are the neighbours in this kind of horseshoe shape, and I assume the main problem from their point of view is coming from the dogs on the west side of the barn. I can't see the dogs barking on the east side being a problem because they're shielded by the buildings and the sound runs up into Puppy Hill and is dissipated in these trees. You're more likely to hear them than over here than these neighbours are. It is quite a difficult situation because these neighbours over here appear to be only 250 feet away from the dogs. Let's now take a look at the relationship between the houses and the barn in elevation. This simple diagram shows the relationship. As I say, I think it's about 250 feet away, and I'm assuming here that you put a fence up, say a 6-foot fence. Here's a dog. The sound is coming from about 30 inches off the ground, so the sound is still going to hit, with a 6-foot fence here, the sound is still going to hit the top part of the house. If it's a 2-story building, that's probably where they're sleeping, which may be the main problem. If we can move the fence closer to the dogs here, say in your tree line with the yard between here, then the height covered by the time it reaches the house is about 17 feet. So it's covering most of the height of the house, including the second floor bedrooms. Incidentally, I've set this roughly, as you can see, at about 60 feet from the dogs. Now overlaid on this, you do have trees, so sound that's coming above this fence is dispersed, broken up in these trees. By the time any sound in this direction, which is travelling upwards, reaches the house, it will have been largely dissipated by these trees. I'll now come back to the plan view. So here we are. The buildings around this area here are reflecting the sound in a similar way to a flashlight having a reflector. The sound is being concentrated in this direction towards the houses. The area that we're most interested in is shown with these 2 red lines. Any sound outside of here is going to miss the houses and is going to be dissipated by these trees. So we're really interested just in the area between these 2 red lines. If we superimpose on that some fencing, I've assumed here that we've got 3 fences, each of which is about 18 feet long. That is 3 6-foot by 6-foot panels. I don't know what sizes you have over there. Those are the those are the common sizes in the UK. It doesn't have to be a continuous fence, because it does not have to be a continuous fence because the sound travels in a straight line, and so long as there's some small overlap, you can break it up in this way so that you can walk between them rather than having one long fence. But as you can see from this diagram, you can achieve the blanking of the sound that you need by a total of, well, 3 fences by 18 it's about 55 feet wide. As to the type of fencing that you need, you could go for very expensive soundproof fencing, sort of thing that my neighbour has, because we live on a busy road. They come at about, in this country, £250 per panel. hugely expensive. A reasonable quality overlapping panel in the region of £25–30. And you really don't need anything more than that. So long as it's got no gaps in it, a reasonable, good quality lapped fence will do the job. Prices in the US are probably much lower than ours. It's even difficult at the moment to get hold of a piece of fencing, quite apart from the price. The only other thing I would suggest is you might want to consider putting some sound dispersing material on the side of the fence, the sort of thing that you see in a recording studio. Instead of the sound bouncing off a clean flat surface, it bounces off in all sorts of different directions and effectively disperses it. This sort of covering might be useful on the east side of these fences and on the barn walls. I can claim some relevant knowledge. Although it was more than half a century ago, I am a qualified aerodynamicist and I have a master's and a PhD, and my area of specialization was in very weak shock waves and strong sound waves. That's it.